Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams, and today I'm going to be doing a first impression video with the new Catrice videos for the fall-winter season. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. As I was traveling this summer, I found out that Catrice and Essence were already going to be dropping their new releases for the fall-winter season 24-25. As they were being announced. So I have the Catrice video for you today, and in a few days I will be doing the Essence video for you. So let's dig into some new Catrice in today's video. So something I was noticing as I was placing my order for all of these products is that Catrice and also Essence aren't coming out with these huge collections anymore. In case you're unfamiliar with these two brands, they are owned by the same German company. Essence is aimed more towards teenagers and like younger people, and Catrice is a little bit more high-end, you could say, but they're still very affordable drugstore brands for sure, and they do an assortment update every 6 months. So there's a winter one and there is a summer one, and in the summer we get the products for the fall-winter season, and in the winter time we get the new products for spring-summer. This way they can keep things fresh. If things don't sell well, they can move them out. And I have been noticing in the past year or so that these new collections are smaller. The products inside them are still good, but where previously we would get entire new like foundation, concealer, like everything, it was like the entire collection was thrown out the window and we got nothing but new things, which, I mean, in a way it can work perhaps, but it also feels like it's not the most sustainable thing to do. And I feel that this more curated thing that I've got going for you today for Catrice is a much safer bet. I have everything here new, save for a concealer that I have to substitute from another brand, and I will be pulling in a highlighter from Catrice from a previous collection that they still have on offer. But everything else pretty much is new here. So let's put these things on my face for the very first time. So as I'm talking about these products and introducing them to you, I will be inserting some pictures that I took to have on hand. And that's the only time I've really interacted with these products. I haven't put them on my face yet. So this is a total first impression. So first things first, we need to kick things off with a new primer that Catrice does. Here is the Aqua Splash Grip Hydrating Primer. This, it's like the Catrice version of the Milk Hydro Grip, I feel. Essence already does a rendition of it, which I really love. It's the Jelly Grip. And I think that line is very successful for them because I saw they were doing some new products in that. But this is the first time that Catrice has done something like it. It is blue though, rather than green. So packaging wise and the way this looks, it's giving Smashbox. That's just what this reminds me of. This is definitely not like looking like it's a drugstore product. I think pretty much everything here was like under 6 or 7 euros, so everything is very affordable. I do think this was one of the more expensive products in the lineup. And from what I could tell, putting it on the back of my hand, this felt really nice. It smells of aloe vera though, so if you don't like aloe vera, you may not like this. And to be quite fair, when I tried the e.l.f. version of the Milk Primer, it didn't go down too well because that gave me a little bit of a itchy feeling and a bit of an allergic reaction. But you can see here that this goes on very glowy, and it feels like a drink of water for your skin. So Catrice and Essence can both do really good primers. I don't love all of them, but this I think is the closest that Catrice has ever gotten to redoing one of my favorite primers they ever did. It was the Fresh It Up primer, if people remember that. And this gives me the same sort of sensation when it goes onto my face. So now that this primer has been on for a little while, I can say a little bit more about it. I feel it still looks very glowy on, which I like. I like a glowy base, and it feels a little bit tacky, but not like super sticky or anything like that. So far the primer seems to be nice. Which brings me to the new foundation. This is the Invisible Cover Foundation. It says natural matte finish, 16-hour comfortable wear, and hydrating. The shade range that was on offer, as in things that were in stock, was quite limited. So I went with 15W, which is probably going to be too yellow for me, but none of the neutral or cool tone shades that were lighter or around this level of the shade range I could get my hands on. This is a very extensive shade range though. I think there are 30 foundations, like foundation shades you can get, including different undertones. Even though this is 015, there are like tons of them that are lighter than this as well. So that may be good to know for a lot of people. Not sure how much I'm going to like it. It says it is lightweight, long-lasting, with medium buildable coverage. It's supposed to be transfer-proof with hyaluronic acid and aloe vera. Could be nice, but I tend to like something super lightweight. Their tinted serum foundation, the Nude Drop Tinted Serum, that is my favorite foundation from Catrice that is currently still available. I do feel that this shade is definitely light enough for me, so that is definitely good news, but it is a little bit too like yellow for me, I'm sure. And I did catch a little bit of sun as I was traveling this summer, so I definitely feel that this may not be the best. So I'm just going to apply it as I normally would, which is with fingers first. And then I go in with a brush. Where did my brush go? With a brush, but I also wet my sponge because I think, because this is a thicker formula, that I may want to use a sponge on this to give it a fair chance, because I think it might be streaky with the brush. I definitely think that might happen. And I always just go in with the lightest possible layer of any foundation I try for the first time. I can always build it up more if I want to, or apply concealer in the areas that need it. But I cannot take it away, not easily, not without having to redo like skincare and primer and all that jazz. So the shade is blending out pretty well, actually. Like, it is a pretty good match. It's not perfect. Like, I can definitely see here that it's not exactly right. It may actually be a little bit light for me right now. Let me see how this goes with a brush on this side. Maybe a bit more on the cheek here. So yeah, they were lying when they said that this was a medium buildable coverage, because I went in with like the thinnest layer. I only used one pump and a little bit extra for my forehead, and I already have this much coverage. Like, it's covering up my redness perfectly, so loving that. So on the chin, I can try the Beauty Blender. So the way I thought a Beauty Blender might be better for this is because a brush usually gives you more coverage, and since I don't like high coverage things, I figured that a Beauty Blender or like a beauty sponge would work better for me, as it sort of shears things out more like better than a brush would. Like, a brush just adds so much coverage. So I do think indeed that using a sponge with this is the way to go. But the way I have been applying foundation for a while now is spreading it out with fingers first and then blending sort of more like the edges and getting it look more even. Okay, so that is what the foundation looks like. I'm definitely not offended by this. I think it's a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. Very often when foundations say they are matte, they tend to accentuate my dry patches within a hot flash, and this really didn't. This looks nice. The shade is pretty close to what I'm looking for. I think I could have gone one shade up perhaps, and in a slightly different undertone, because this is definitely a little bit too yellow. But I definitely think it is good enough of a match for me to be able to pull it off, to use it as a base for the rest of my makeup right now. So I'm just going to be applying a little bit of concealer, for which I'm just going to be using my Kiko concealer from my Shop My Stash, and then we're going to delve into the other products. So the concealer is on, and I definitely think that this works quite well for me. Again, I'm really happy with the way my base looks. It's slightly glowy, not too matte. It's got good enough coverage. But I do feel I've taken away most of the coverage because of the beauty sponge I used. Now we're going into the powder. This is the Bright and Blur Loose Powder in the shade soft pink. And the reason why I'm very careful with how I'm holding it is because when I swatched it the first time, I kind of tapped it a little too enthusiastically. So this is like everywhere right now. Let me like stick my finger in so you can see the shade. So I feel that in the pan, it looks a little bit peachy, but I think you can see here when I've stuck my finger in that it looks like a very nice light pink shade. It actually has a lot of pink running through it. So I'm gonna see how it goes. I'm not a huge fan of loose powder, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a great opportunity for me to be testing out my little Sephora powder puff that I bought a while ago and I just haven't really used it. So I'm gonna pick some of the powder up so it's on there, and I'm gonna like press it into the puff so it doesn't go everywhere. It's still going everywhere. And then I'm just gonna ooh, very mattifying. And it's definitely pink. It's definitely pink. Yep, that kind of smooths things out. I'm not sure how this is going to like work in terms of wear time or anything like that, because I haven't been able to test that, of course. And it is already later in the day, so doing a wear test at the end of this video is not going to work. Because I won't be able to wear this makeup for long enough to give it a fair enough chance, but at least I can like give it a first impression for sure. Is it too dark? Like, I feel now that I've applied the powder to this side, like, there's like darkness here. I don't feel it's very brightening on my skin tone. Maybe if you have darker skin, this may also like help with brightening. I don't think it's going to do that for me. So far the powder is pretty successful. Again, nothing seems to be clumping together. I have pretty dry skin, so powder for me can be really, really difficult to find a good one. But so far, so good. Very often around my eyes or on my nose, things just clump together and it doesn't look right. But so far, I think this looks really, really nice. I don't know yet whether the powder is exactly the color I need it to be. I definitely think I need to try it with some of my other products that I'm already having in my Shop My Stash to see how it will go, but I'm not mad about it. Like, this is a really pretty powder and a lot more successful than I had expected, especially because the foundation said matte and this is a bright and blur powder. Those are usually not the things that my dry skin likes, but this is very successful. Which brings me to the thing I am most nervous for. This is the Holiday Skin 4-in-1 Luminizer. This is in the shade 010 Catching Sun Rays. This is the lightest shade. Let me show you. This is the lightest shade. And I don't feel it shears out. The 4-in-1, they say, means that this can be used as bronzer, contour, blush, and highlight. Not with my skin tone. So I think I'm just going to use it as a liquid bronzer and hope for the best. So maybe this can give me the sun-kissed look back into my face, because I do feel very pale right now. So I'm just going to be using my Spectrum B01 for this, dabbing it into the brushes, in the brush hairs, so that I have a really nice bit there. And then we're just going to stipple it on. Ooh, that's not as offensive as I thought it was going to be. I thought it wasn't going to sheer out. Like, when I swatched it, I was like, oh no, that looks like liquid eyeshadow. But with a brush, it seems to be going okay. But it's very shiny in the swatch as well. So it's definitely a little bit too dark, I think. Very red. Very, very red. And then I use the excess to sort of blend it down. And then I still have the sponge, of course, from the foundation. So I'm just going to use that to tone it down just a little bit, because I feel this looks a little crazy. In real life, I feel it looks better than it does on camera. On camera, it looks a lot more harsh. I mean, it works. It works a lot better than I had expected. It is a little bit more reddish toned, pink almost, but it's almost like it's two colors, because on my forehead it's more like golden bronze, and then on my cheeks it looked more red when it went on. That was weird. Not expecting it to work this good. I really, really wasn't. I thought this was gonna be the worst product of today, but this has pleasantly surprised me. I'm happy with this so far. And that brings me to this guy, the Blush Affair. I have this in Pleasing Pink 020, and like I said, this is cream and powder. So here we have the cream and here we have the powder. And I said, I feel like they're duping Patrick Ta with this. The cream feels a little bit stiff when you first stick your fingers into it, but the shades go together really well. And both of these, as you will see, are really nice cool tone pinks. I feel the cream is a little bit more blue tone than the powder is, so that's okay. Do these look ashy to you? I think that this could be even pretty if you have a deeper skin tone than mine, because this is very pretty. So I think what I'll do is, just to give this a fair shot, is to apply the cream to one cheek and the powder to the other, using the method I usually use. For powders, I use my Real Techniques blush brush, and for creams, I just use my fingers. And then I sort of blend my bronzer and my highlighter together. So I always apply blush last, because I feel that's like, else the highlighter sort of sits on top. So there is the cream blush. I think this is very pretty looking. That's just one little layer. You could go in with more, but I think I'm gonna keep it here. So that is what the cream blush looks like. I think that looks really good. I think it really does. It goes with the highlighter really well. The highlighter still shines through it, but the blush sort of really ties the entire thing together. That's what I want my blushes to do. So far so good. Let's go in with the powder. So here is what the powder gives. Really pretty too. I do feel the powder is a little bit like easier to build up than the cream is. So I definitely think that together they're gonna make a really, really nice pairing. That's something I'm still gonna have to test out, of course. But with the creams, I tend to do more of like a contoured look, it seems, and with a blush brush, it tends to like go a little bit more like everywhere, you could say. I like these shades. I do think, as I had predicted, that this side is a little bit more cool toned than this side is. This side has a little bit more red to it in the pink, and this is a little bit more blue toned. So depending on your undertone, I do feel you get like a slightly, they're still cool tone pinks, but on my very fair skin that skews more cool tone to begin with, if it has even just a little bit of warmth and I have such a warm bronzer underneath it, then any warmth is going to be picked up and is going to be emphasized. So maybe if you have a warm undertone, this can look a lot more cool toned on you, but the cream blush is definitely very, very blue. It almost has a purple sheen to it, which I love. Which brings me to the next product, and that's going to be eyeshadow. I am out of my MAC Paint Pot and Painterly, so I'm going to be skipping that step. I'm going to have to repurchase it soon, but we are going to go in with the Peony eyeshadow palette. This is the Soft Peony. It's part of like this entire range. It came with like a green and a neutral. When they first did this, I did a 4 palette review, so I can link that in the description box down below. But this is the first time I think they've done something this cool tone, because they did a rosy, like a soft rose look, I think, and that was very strange because the grays in that were very blue heavy and the pinks were quite warm toned. But I feel that this, it's very cool toned, which I like a lot. So I'm just gonna whip a look together to show you what these shadows can do. As I already mentioned, there are 3 mattes, 6 shimmers. Am I correct? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, no, 5 shimmers, 3 mattes. Alright, so that is the look with the Soft Peony, and I have to say, I'm very happy with this. It blended super easily, but it didn't like dust away into nothing, which is an issue I had with some of these in the past where I really felt like it didn't really do much. The shimmers are really pretty, but it is sort of like more of like a satiny shimmer. It's not super high shine metallic, but still really pretty indeed. I did a quick bit of setting spray, applied mascara, which means we can immediately move on to all 7 shades of this. This is the, what's it called again? The Care in Colors Lip Balm. Let me hold it up close so you can see the packaging a little bit better. I think this looks stunning. Is it a tinted lip balm? Yes. Am I going to expect a lot of color payoff with these? No. But from the swatch, I can already tell that some of these definitely do have a bit of color. So I'm just going to put all 7 of them on my lips for you straight away so we can see what these look like on. I don't expect much of these in terms of wear time because they are marketed as a tinted lip balm. So this is not going to hold up for hours on end. And the first one is just clear. This is the shade 010 Everyday 24/7. And it looks like a very light pink in the bullet, but when it goes on, at least in the swatch on my arm, it looked more like a clear lip balm. So here's what that first shade 010 looks like. It definitely has a little bit of a white cast almost, but that's because my lips are super pigmented, so definitely don't go by what this looks like on me. If you have lighter lips than mine, this will probably look differently on you, but it's essentially a clear lip balm for sure. 020 is Feeling Pretty, and this is like a peachy nude almost. This again didn't have a whole lot of color. What I do like about these is the packaging feels a bit cheaply made, but you can see like the twist up mechanism inside, which I think is a fun touch. I just think this is a fun product. So this is Feeling Pretty. This is actually really nice on. I hadn't expected that because on my arm when I was swatching it, it really looked like nothing, but it just adds that hint of color. It is definitely more of a warmer tone shade, so that has to be your cup of tea, but I enjoy this. It's very creamy feeling, and these don't really have a noticeable scent. They don't smell overly floral or anything like that. I think they may actually be fragrance-free. Shade 030 Bubbly Friday is probably going to be my favorite one of the bunch because this is essentially like a rosy mauve tone, and we all know that that is one of my favorite things to wear, so my lips but better. In a nutshell, this is my lips but better, and I love these kind of shades in lip balm and lip gloss form, not so much in lipstick anymore because my lips are already naturally pigmented. I just want to highlight that and wear something that's incredibly comfortable, and this is definitely that. It's very comfortable, very nourishing. I think these may have cocoa butter in them because they definitely feel like that buttery, balmy sort of texture. I'm enjoying these. But we also have some vampier shade in here. This is 040 Hot Take, and it looks like a pinky red. So let's throw it on. Very juicy looking. I like the look of that. This is indeed that sort of like just eaten some ripe fruit. This may be another favorite in this little lineup here because this is exactly what I like going for in the summertime. The next one is the deepest shade. This is 050 Wild Rebel, and this seems to be a berry tone, which is also part of this lineup. I think this will be gorgeous on deep skin. Very pretty. Loving this one too. It's got a hint of brown to it almost, but not quite. It's definitely more like plum heavy. And like I said, if you have deep skin, this may be really pretty, but I'm also thinking Clinique Black Honey. It's giving Clinique Black Honey vibes, and I'm here for it. 060 is a brown tone. This is hot half-baked cookies. And here is what that shade looks like. Throw into your bag and like have for touch-ups, and you can just like apply them without a mirror. I'm here for it. Again, prettier than I had expected. Yes, it has a little bit of warmth, but the cool, more intense purple undertone in my natural lip color definitely comes through and makes this a lot more wearable for me. I like this. I definitely think it adds something. I think if my hair was down, this shade would work so, so good on me. And last but not least, a lighter shade, 070 Girl Boss. And this is a peach tone, which I think is going to be my least favorite. But if this has a little bit of pink in it, I might still like it. This doesn't do much for my complexion, I feel. It's definitely like a pinky peach. It's not too heavy on the orange, I find, which I enjoy. But I think my three favorites are Feeling Bubbly, No Bubbly Friday, Wild Rebel, and Hot Take. Those are my three favorites. And those are the ones I'm going to be keeping in my personal collection for more wear, and to be testing these out as well. In terms of like how long they're going to wear. That's definitely what's going to happen with all of these products. I will put these into Shop My Stashes in the next couple of months and review them for you over on the blog. So definitely stay tuned with my Shop My Stash videos and also my blog reviews so that you can have a look at what these things look like more close up as well. And then, as I already mentioned at the start of the video, I will come back on here once I've given everything a very good chance to see how it wears, to see how this foundation wears, to see how the primer wears. There won't be a spin-off video with any of the lip products like I usually do because I was able to put them all into this one, but I will definitely be updating you on how I feel after trying these for a little while, once I've also tried the Essence products. So I'm going to lump all of those products together. And as I mentioned, I am going to be coming back really soon with a new Essence video as well. So stay tuned for that. For now, we're still in the midst of eyeshadow palette month as well, so I would like to stay tuned for daily videos, and then I will be back with you shortly. Thank you so very much for being here. Bye-bye!